There's a point in life when you realize that not every battle deserves your energy. You look around and see people fighting to be right, to be heard, to prove a point that doesn't even matter in the end. You realize how many nights you lost sleep replaying conversations in your mind, trying to think of what you should have said, what you could have done differently, until one day you just stop. You stop needing to win. You stop needing to convince. You stop needing to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That's the moment your life begins to change. Not because the world got softer, but because you did, because you finally understood the power of not arguing anymore. Stay with me till the end, because once you truly understand this power, you'll never waste another moment defending your peace again. There comes a time when you stop feeling the need to explain yourself. You stop needing to prove your side, defend your heart, or justify your choices. You reach that quiet turning point where silence becomes your new language. Not because you've run out of words, but because you've finally learned that not everyone deserves to hear them. Silence, contrary to what the world may tell you, is not a sign of defeat. It's the highest form of strength, a declaration that says, I refuse to waste my peace trying to be understood by those who are not ready to understand. There's a deep kind of power in being still when someone expects you to explode. When they raise their voice, you keep yours calm. When they try to drag you into chaos, you stay seated in peace. That moment is not weakness, it's mastery. It's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who responds. The one who reacts is led by emotion, but the one who responds is guided by wisdom. Silence, when chosen with awareness, is not the absence of power, it is power contained. So many people think if you stay quiet, you've lost. But silence does not mean surrender. It means you've risen above the need to prove your value. It means you've reached a level of emotional maturity where validation no longer fuels your worth. You begin to understand that every argument doesn't deserve your presence. Every misunderstanding doesn't require your correction. You start to realize that peace is far more precious than being right. And when peace becomes your priority, silence becomes your response. You see, not everyone argues to find truth. Some people argue to dominate. They crave reaction, not resolution. They want to see you lose your calm because it gives them a sense of control. But when you choose silence, you take that power away. They can't feed off your frustration. They can't play with your emotions. Your silence confuses them because it denies them the attention they crave. In that quiet refusal, you win, not by crushing the other person, but by preserving your inner stillness. There's a grace in being quiet that few people understand. It takes far more courage to hold your tongue than to unleash your anger. Anyone can argue, anyone can shout, but not everyone can stay composed when provoked. Silence is a discipline, a spiritual armor that shields you from unnecessary battles. It teaches you to trust that time will reveal what words cannot. It teaches you that truth does not need defending, it stands tall on its own. When you stop arguing, you start observing. You begin to see things as they are, not as your emotions distort them. You notice how people project their pain, how they disguise insecurity as confidence, how they twist words to protect their ego. And in that awareness, you gain something far greater than victory. You gain clarity. You stop reacting to noise and start responding to meaning. You learn to distinguish what deserves your energy and what deserves your silence. Silence doesn't mean you're indifferent. It means you're intentional. It means you've chosen to speak only when your words can add value. There's a quiet authority in that kind of restraint. You become the calm in the storm, the peace in the argument, the stillness in the chaos. People may not understand it at first. They may misinterpret your silence as weakness or pride. Let them, because your silence is not for them, it's for you. It's your declaration that you've outgrown the need to shout your truth in a room full of noise. Sometimes silence speaks the loudest truth of all. It says, I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I no longer need to prove it to you. It's that kind of silence that shifts the atmosphere, that disarms the loud, and that humbles the arrogant. It's a silence that doesn't come from fear, but from understanding. Understanding that arguing with the wrong person only distracts you from your purpose. Think about how many times you've argued with someone just to feel heard, only to walk away more drained than before. How many times you replayed the same conversation in your head, thinking, if only I'd said this or that. But now imagine if you had stayed quiet, how much peace you would have kept, how much energy you would have saved. Silence gives you that gift. It saves you from the endless cycle of proving yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. In silence, you find freedom, the freedom to not react, the freedom to walk away without guilt, the freedom to let others think what they want while you live your truth quietly. You begin to realize that their opinions don't change your reality. Their noise doesn't disturb your direction. You no longer measure your strength by how loudly you can argue, but by how calmly you can let go. Silence also invites reflection. It forces you to listen, not to others, but to yourself. In those quiet moments, you hear your intuition louder. You feel your peace returning. You understand that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing and let life unfold on its own terms, because everything doesn't need your reaction. Some situations resolve themselves when you stop feeding them with attention. Choosing silence is not easy. It takes restraint, patience, and a strong sense of self. You must be willing to be misunderstood without needing to explain. You must learn to walk away from battles that don't serve your soul. But once you do, you'll discover a new kind of strength, the strength of calm, the strength of restraint, the strength of inner peace. And one day, you'll look back on all the arguments you didn't have, all the words you didn't say, and you'll thank yourself. Because every time you stayed silent instead of defending your pride, you were building peace. Every time you chose calm instead of chaos, you were protecting your energy. Every time you walked away, you weren't losing. You were winning something far more valuable, your serenity. So when someone tries to provoke you, remember, silence doesn't mean defeat. It means you've chosen yourself. It means you're wise enough to know that not all fires need your fuel. It means you've outgrown the need to shout your truth because your peace already speaks it for you. Silence isn't what happens when words run out. It's what happens when wisdom takes over. It's not weakness, it's evolution. It's the quiet strength of a soul that refuses to be shaken by noise. And when you reach that place, no argument, no opinion, and no voice can disturb the calm you've built within. Energy is a currency, and every day you spend it. With every thought, every reaction, every conversation, you're either investing it in peace or wasting it in chaos. But most people don't realize how expensive their attention truly is. They spend it on arguments that lead nowhere, on people who don't listen, and on situations that only drain them. They keep paying the price of peace without ever getting peace in return. One day, though, you start to see the truth, that your energy is sacred, and not everyone or everything deserves a share of it. You begin to notice how easily your mood shifts after certain conversations. You see how your spirit feels heavy after explaining yourself to the wrong person. You feel that exhaustion that comes not from work, but from emotional overexposure. That's when you realize your energy isn't endless. It's limited, precious, and meant to be guarded. You start to understand that every time you react to negativity, you're spending something valuable that you'll never get back. You only have so much energy each day, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. When you waste it on overthinking, gossip, anger, or trying to change people who aren't ready to grow, you leave yourself bankrupt inside. You can't build peace when your energy is scattered everywhere. The world will always try to pull you in 100 directions. Some will provoke you, others will tempt you, and many will simply drain you. But your strength lies in knowing where to invest your attention and when to protect it. Imagine your energy as a beautiful light. Every time you engage in meaningless battles, that light dims. Every time you try to please everyone, it flickers. But when you choose peace, it grows brighter. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your calmness speaks for itself. Protecting your energy doesn't make you cold, it makes you conscious. It means you're aware of the invisible exchange happening in every interaction. You either leave a moment feeling fuller or emptier. And your job is to protect the fullness. Not everyone deserves access to your spirit. Some people bring storms wherever they go. They argue to win, not to understand. They drain your peace and disguise it as just expressing themselves. You can love people deeply and still choose not to engage with their chaos. You can care and still keep your distance. Love doesn't require constant access. It requires balance. When you protect your energy, you're not being distant, you're being wise. You've learned that peace is more valuable than approval, and silence is richer than argument. People often think that reacting to everything makes them strong, but strength isn't in reacting. It's in remaining centered. When someone tries to pull you into their negativity, your refusal to respond is not weakness, it's power. You're saying, I know my worth, and I won't spend it here. Every time you stay calm when you could have reacted, you're saving energy for the things that truly matter. Your growth, your goals, your joy. You're teaching your spirit to invest in creation, not destruction. Energy flows where attention goes. If you focus on hurt, you keep feeding pain. If you focus on peace, you build healing. You can't live a peaceful life if your thoughts are constantly reacting to what others say or do. Your peace requires focus, and focus requires discipline. It's easy to get caught up in drama. The world rewards noise. But peace is built in silence, in boundaries, in saying no without guilt. You start to learn that walking away doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've decided to spend your energy where it grows instead of where it dies. Think of all the times you've drained yourself trying to prove your point, trying to make someone see your side. Did it ever bring you peace? Or did it leave you tired, empty, questioning your own worth? You can't win peace from chaos. You have to build it within and guard it like treasure. You don't need to convince people who have already decided not to understand you. That's like trying to fill a broken cup. No matter how much you pour, it will always leak. Save your energy for those who value it. As you grow, you start noticing what drains you and what feeds you. Certain conversations, certain environments, certain people, you can feel the difference. And when you begin to trust that feeling, you take control of your life. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining your heart to deaf ears. You stop forcing connections that no longer fit your spirit. Protecting your energy becomes your way of saying, I love myself enough to stop overgiving. Every time you choose not to react, not to argue, not to overthink, you make a deposit into your peace. Every time you let something go that doesn't serve you, you build emotional wealth. This is how you grow strong quietly, by mastering your focus, by being selective with your presence, by realizing that your peace is your most valuable possession. People who constantly argue, complain, and gossip are broke in spirit. They spend their energy on emptiness. Don't join them. Choose stillness over struggle. There's a certain kind of elegance in restraint, in not needing to prove, not needing to explain, not needing to engage. It's the grace of someone who knows their energy is gold. You begin to realize that you don't owe everyone a reaction. You don't owe everyone access to your time or your emotions. You have the right to protect your energy as fiercely as you protect your dreams. You have the right to say, "This doesn't deserve me." When you spend your energy wisely, you become lighter. You stop carrying other people's chaos on your back. You stop trying to fix things that were never yours to fix. You stop burning yourself out trying to light the way for people who prefer the dark. And in that stillness, you start to see how powerful your peace really is. You become more creative, more grounded, more alive. You start living from abundance, not depletion. Protecting your energy also means protecting your mind. What you consume, you become. The conversations you entertain, the content you watch, the people you allow near you, all of it shapes your vibration. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, your peace will shrink. But if you choose calm, gratitude, and self-respect, your energy expands. You become a magnet for clarity, purpose, and joy. The energy you guard becomes the life you live. You learn that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause. Not react, not respond, just breathe. Because silence and stillness aren't empty. They're full of choices. Every time you choose stillness, you're saying, "I value my peace more than their opinion." And that right there is freedom. You're no longer a prisoner to reactions. You're no longer letting others decide how you feel. You've reclaimed your power. Your energy is not infinite. Treat it like gold. Spend it on laughter, on kindness, on self-growth, on dreams that feed your soul. Don't waste it arguing with people who enjoy misunderstanding you. Don't waste it chasing those who keep walking away. Don't waste it defending your worth. Live it instead. When you spend your energy wisely, you don't just protect your peace, you expand it. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that every time you walked away from negativity, you didn't lose a thing. You only gained more of yourself. Because the most beautiful part of protecting your energy is this: the quieter you become, the more power you hold. When you stop scattering your spirit everywhere and start saving it for what truly matters, life becomes lighter, clearer, and profoundly more peaceful. Your energy is your life. Spend it like it's sacred, because it is. Peace is louder than words. It doesn't need to shout, argue, or convince anyone to be felt. It carries its message quietly, yet powerfully, through presence alone. You can feel it when someone walks into a room with calm energy, when they speak softly but with conviction, when their stillness says more than another person's noise ever could. That is the kind of power peace holds, silent, steady, unshakable. It does not demand attention, yet it commands it effortlessly. There comes a moment in life when you stop chasing the last word. You stop trying to make people understand you, and you stop fighting to be seen. You begin to realize that peace is not found in proving your point. It's found in preserving your spirit. And so, instead of responding to every provocation, you choose stillness. Instead of reacting to every insult, you smile. You start to realize that your calm confuses people who thrive on chaos. Because they expect noise, they expect anger, they expect fire. But when you give them peace instead, you show them strength they can't comprehend. You begin to understand that sometimes silence is not avoidance. It's wisdom. When you reach that level of calm where nothing can easily disturb you, you've mastered yourself. Peace becomes your protection. You no longer need to explain what you know within. You no longer feel the need to justify your boundaries or your choices, because your peace speaks for you, and those who truly understand you can hear it, even in your quiet. It's not always easy to choose peace. The world often mistakes it for weakness. People assume that if you're quiet, you're scared. If you're gentle, you're submissive. But peace is not the absence of strength. It's the control of it. It's power without the need to display it. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to roar because it knows it could if it wanted to. That's what makes peace so magnetic. It's confidence rooted in stillness. You start to see how much noise comes from people who are unsettled inside. Those who lack peace often project it outward, arguing, complaining, attacking. They can't sit with themselves, so they stir others. But when you have peace, you no longer get pulled into that chaos. You watch it, you observe it, but you don't absorb it. You don't let their turbulence shake your calm, because you've learned that true control is not in controlling others. It's in not letting others control you. When you carry peace within you, your silence becomes powerful enough to shift the energy around you. Someone may come to provoke you, but your calm response disarms them. Someone may insult you, but your smile dissolves their anger. You become a mirror showing people what they lack, because your peace exposes their inner storms. And some won't like that. Some will try harder to disturb you, but even then you stay grounded, because you understand that peace is not a reaction, it's a decision. Peace does not come from avoiding life, it comes from facing it differently. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing that even when it's not, you are. It's realizing that no matter what people say, no matter how situations unfold, you always have a choice to react from chaos or to respond from calm. When you choose calm, you reclaim your power. You take control of what's yours, your energy, your mood, your direction. The loudest people are often the most uncertain. They raise their voices because deep down, they don't feel heard. But those who have peace know that understanding doesn't come from volume. It comes from presence. You don't have to prove your peace, it shows. It's in your patience when others rush. It's in your grace when others criticize. It's in your ability to remain kind when others turn cruel. That quiet strength is what makes you powerful beyond measure. There will always be moments that test your calm. People will misunderstand you, misjudge you, and sometimes try to provoke you into breaking your peace just so they can feel better about losing theirs. But you must remember, you owe no one your peace. You've fought too hard to earn it. You've cried, healed, and rebuilt yourself to reach this level of calm. Don't let temporary chaos steal what took years of pain to build. Protect it like it's sacred, because it is. When you learn to walk away without bitterness, to forgive without needing closure, to smile without needing validation, that's when you've found true peace. You stop chasing outcomes and start trusting timing. You stop forcing understanding and start embracing acceptance. Peace becomes not just a feeling, but a way of living. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start saying, what is this teaching me? That shift changes everything. Peace doesn't need applause. It doesn't seek recognition. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. It exists quietly in the way you breathe through chaos, in the way you let go without anger, in the way you choose to love instead of hate. It's in your patience when life delays your plans, in your gratitude when things don't go your way, and in your strength when you could complain but choose to stay thankful instead. Peace is a language the soul speaks fluently once it learns to let go of control. When you truly understand peace, you stop trying to win arguments. You stop needing the last word. You realize that proving a point often costs too much energy. Sometimes silence ends the argument faster than any sentence ever could, because peace has a way of saying, I'm not here to compete, I'm here to rise. And when you operate from that level of grace, you no longer live for reactions, you live for meaning. Your peace will not always be understood. Some will misinterpret it as pride, others as indifference. But don't shrink your calm to make them comfortable. Your peace is not arrogance, it's healing. It's the result of pain that no one saw, of lessons that reshaped you, of growth that taught you to stay still when everything around you shakes. It's your hard-earned reward for learning that happiness is not in controlling life, but in surrendering to its flow. The beauty of peace is that it softens everything. It softens your tone, your thoughts, your perspective. It teaches you compassion, even for those who hurt you. Because once you have peace, you don't crave revenge. You crave freedom. You no longer seek to prove people wrong. You simply wish them well and move on. You start understanding that your calmness is not just for you, it's for the world around you. Your peace becomes contagious. It inspires others to slow down, to breathe, to reflect. There is something unshakable about a person who carries peace like armor. They don't rush. They don't chase. They don't crumble under pressure. They move with grace, speak with intention, and live with balance. You can feel it in their presence, that quiet assurance that no matter what happens, they'll be okay. That's what peace sounds like. It's the softest sound, yet it echoes the loudest truth that you are in control of your inner world, even when the outer world falls apart. And when you reach that level of calm, you understand something profound, that peace is not passive, it's powerful. It doesn't shout, but it changes everything it touches. It doesn't argue, but it wins every time. Because peace doesn't need to prove its strength. It is strength. It's the kind that cannot be taken away, only given away. And once you decide to hold on to it, no amount of noise in the world can silence it again. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, a piece of your time, or space in your mind. As you grow, you start to understand that your presence is not something to be handed out freely. It's a privilege, not a right. And when you finally learn this truth, life begins to shift. You stop chasing people who leave. You stop over-explaining yourself to those who don't listen. And you stop allowing those who drain you to keep returning under the disguise of love or friendship. You realize that protecting your access is protecting your peace. In the beginning, it feels strange to pull away. You were raised to be kind, to forgive endlessly, to see the good in everyone. But kindness without boundaries turns into exhaustion. Forgiveness without wisdom turns into self-neglect. Seeing the good in everyone shouldn't mean letting them harm the good in you. Maturity teaches you that love can exist with distance. Compassion can coexist with boundaries. And forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnection. You can care deeply for someone and still decide they no longer have access to your life. You are not cold for protecting your space. You are not heartless for saying no. You are simply becoming aware of your worth. Every time you let the wrong person get too close, you pay a price. In peace, in energy, in trust. And the truth is, not everyone you lose is a loss. Some people are lessons, some are distractions, and some are reminders of what you will never allow again. When you stop seeing everyone as deserving of your closeness, you start choosing your peace over your people-pleasing. You stop giving your power to those who haven't earned it. Not everyone deserves to know your heart. Some people only come close to collect information, not connection. They study your wounds to use them later. They smile while secretly measuring your weakness. That's why discernment is power. It's not about building walls, but learning who has earned your bridge. You can't stop people from trying to access you, but you can decide who gets in. You can't control what they do, but you can control what you allow. And that awareness becomes your freedom. When you start limiting access, some people will call you selfish. They will accuse you of changing, of becoming distant, of not being the same. But that's the point. Now, you're not supposed to be the same. Growth demands distance. Healing requires silence. Peace thrives in solitude. The old version of you tolerated things that the healed version of you simply cannot. You're not being difficult. You're being protective. You've learned the hard way that not everyone who stands beside you stands with you. Access to you should be earned through respect, consistency, and genuine intention. Too often, we confuse history with loyalty, assuming that because someone's been around for years, they deserve to stay. But time doesn't equal trust, and familiarity doesn't equal safety. There are people you've known for years who've done nothing but drain you, and people you've met recently who bring peace without asking for anything in return. That's why you must learn to evaluate energy, not duration. You owe no one unlimited access just because they've known a version of you that tolerated more than you do now. You'll start noticing that as your self-worth grows, your circle gets smaller. And that's not a tragedy, that's transformation. The more you value your peace, the less tolerance you have for those who disturb it. You stop answering every call. You stop explaining every decision. You stop justifying why you're choosing peace over drama. Because your spirit starts craving quiet, your soul starts protecting rest, and your heart starts asking for sincerity over familiarity. You begin to realize that solitude is better than company that confuses you. There is beauty in being selective, not because you think you're better, but because you finally understand what it costs to be too available. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you betray yourself a little. Every time you let someone stay who keeps hurting you, you teach them that your heart is a revolving door. But when you finally close that door, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, you feel something powerful, peace. You realize that protecting your access doesn't isolate you, it liberates you. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to stop sharing your dreams with those who laugh at them. It's okay to stop confiding in those who gossip about you. It's okay to love someone deeply and still walk away if they make you feel small. You owe no one endless chances. You owe no one your emotional exhaustion. Your love should uplift you, not empty you. You can forgive someone and still decide they don't belong in your life anymore. Forgiveness is for healing. Boundaries are for protection. There's a kind of peace that comes when you realize you don't have to explain your boundaries to anyone. You don't have to justify why you protect your space. The people meant for you will understand your silence. They won't guilt you for taking time for yourself. They won't accuse you of arrogance when you start prioritizing rest. Real love respects limits. Real friendship honors distance. You'll find that the people who truly care will never make you feel bad for taking care of yourself. You're not being cruel when you stop giving access to those who take advantage of your kindness. You're not being distant when you choose peace over chaos. You're not wrong for putting yourself first. You've simply learned the difference between connection and attachment, between love and dependency. You've learned that not everyone clapping for you wants to see you win, and not everyone standing beside you has your best interests at heart. So, you move wisely now, softer but smarter, kinder but clearer. One of the greatest acts of self-love is selective access. It's looking at your life and asking, who feeds me and who drains me? It's knowing that you can't pour from an empty cup. It's learning that you don't have to feel guilty for walking away from people who consistently make you question your worth. You don't have to explain why you've gone quiet, why you've stopped responding, why you've withdrawn your energy. Your peace is reason enough. And yes, some people will leave when you raise your standards, but let them. The right ones will rise to meet them. The wrong ones will fall away. Don't chase anyone who walks away when you start choosing yourself. Your peace will attract better connections, those built on respect, not control, on truth, not convenience, on mutual energy, not emotional debt. You'll see that when you stop begging for love and start becoming love, you no longer have to fear who leaves, because what remains will always align. Your access is your power. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything in your life, from your dreams to your relationships, grows from the energy you guard. You are not for everyone, and that's your strength. You are for those who bring calm to your chaos, light to your darkness, and growth to your journey. So don't apologize for closing doors that no longer lead to peace. You are allowed to protect your space, your mind, your heart, and your spirit. Not everyone deserves access to you. And when you finally live by that truth, you'll see how much lighter your soul becomes. Growth changes the conversation. It changes what you tolerate, what you talk about, and what you give your time to. It changes your tone, your priorities, and your peace. When you start growing, you no longer crave the same validation, you no longer chase the same approval, and you no longer need to explain your worth to anyone. You begin to see that some conversations you used to fight to be a part of no longer deserve your voice. And that's not arrogance, that's evolution. When you grow, your silence starts speaking louder than your opinions. You stop trying to be understood and start understanding yourself. You begin to see how much energy you wasted explaining your heart to people who were never really listening. You used to break yourself down into smaller pieces so others could digest you comfortably. You used to shrink your truth so no one felt threatened by it. But growth changes that. Growth teaches you to stop apologizing for your depth, to stop softening your truth, and to stop sitting at tables where your voice must be silenced to be accepted. There was a time when you needed to prove yourself, to show people that you were enough, that you were capable, that you mattered, but now you know that your worth doesn't live in their recognition, it lives in your peace. You don't need their applause to feel accomplished. You don't need their understanding to stay grounded. When you grow, you realize that validation is a borrowed comfort. It feels good in the moment, but it fades quickly. Peace, however, is permanent, and peace comes when you stop seeking approval and start embracing alignment. Growth teaches you that not every conversation deserves your participation. You no longer argue over opinions that don't match your truth. You stop trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You realize that some people listen not to understand, but to reply. And there's no peace in that kind of exchange. So you choose silence. You choose calm. You choose distance over debates that only drain your energy. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to prove it. You simply live it. You start noticing how the conversations around you shift. Gossip no longer excites you. Complaining no longer satisfies you. Drama starts to feel heavy instead of entertaining. You crave depth. Conversations that heal, inspire, and challenge you to evolve. You find yourself drawn to people who talk about purpose, healing, and peace instead of problems, rumors, and noise. That's growth, when your mind outgrows the smallness that once felt normal. When you prefer solitude over shallow company, you know you're transforming. Growth also changes how you communicate. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop trying to win arguments. You start listening more and speaking less. You understand that words are powerful and that silence, when used wisely, is even more powerful. You no longer need to raise your voice to be heard. Your energy speaks for you. You no longer need to explain your boundaries. Your peace enforces them. Growth refines your communication. It makes you intentional with your words and selective with your audience. And sometimes growth makes you lonely. You outgrow people who still live in cycles you've escaped. You start to see that not everyone can meet you where you're going, and that's okay. Some conversations end not because of conflict, but because of change. You'll try to explain your growth, but some people will only hear judgment. You'll share your peace, but some will call it distance. You'll talk about healing, but some will feel threatened by your calm. It's not your job to make them understand. Growth doesn't need permission. It just requires courage. The courage to keep evolving even when others stay the same. You learn that peace sometimes means letting go of people who remind you of the version of yourself you've outgrown. It means accepting that not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people were chapters, not lifetimes. They taught you what you needed to know about love, about patience, about yourself, and now it's time to turn the page. Growth is not about bitterness, it's about release. It's understanding that you can love someone deeply and still walk away because the conversation between your souls has ended. There's power in that kind of acceptance. It teaches you that closure doesn't always come through words. Sometimes it comes through silence. Sometimes it comes through peace. You stop chasing explanations and start embracing understanding. You don't need every goodbye to make sense. You don't need every story to have a clear ending. Growth shows you that sometimes endings are just openings in disguise, the beginning of something purer, quieter, and more aligned with who you're becoming. You start to see that not everyone can go where you're going, not because they're bad people, but because their path isn't your path. You learn to bless them anyway. You stop arguing for connections that require constant repair. You stop chasing conversations that leave you feeling unseen. You stop begging for emotional reciprocity from those who only take. Growth teaches you to stop watering dead gardens and start planting seeds where peace can grow. It reminds you that you can't force alignment, you can only live in it. As you grow, your perspective changes too. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? You stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You begin to understand that every challenge was shaping your strength, every silence was refining your patience, and every loss was clearing space for better. Growth gives your struggles meaning. It turns pain into wisdom and endings into evolution. You begin to speak the language of grace instead of grievance. Growth also changes the way you view yourself. You stop identifying with your past and start building from your potential. You no longer introduce yourself as your wounds. You introduce yourself as your healing. You stop chasing people to see your light because you finally learn to see it for yourself. You become more gentle with yourself, more patient with your journey, more forgiving of your mistakes. You start to understand that growth is not perfection, it's progress. It's the quiet courage to keep showing up, even when the world doesn't understand your silence. And the most beautiful part, growth changes your tone, not just in how you speak to others, but in how you speak to yourself. The inner critic softens, the self-doubt fades, the urgency to prove something dissolves. You start speaking words that build instead of break. You start becoming the safe space you used to search for in others. You start talking to yourself like someone you love. That's when you know you're not just changing, you're evolving. One day, you'll look back at your old conversations and smile. You'll remember how you used to argue for your limitations, how you used to beg to be seen, how you used to exhaust yourself trying to be understood. And now, you'll simply breathe and let it go. Because growth has changed you. You've outgrown the need to fight for peace. You've outgrown the desire to be right. You've outgrown the spaces where your soul felt small. Growth doesn't make you louder, it makes you quieter. It doesn't make you harder, it makes you softer. It doesn't make you superior, it makes you aware. You begin to speak less from ego and more from wisdom. You start to live more intentionally, love more gently, and walk more gracefully. And when people wonder why you've changed, you'll simply smile and say, because peace started speaking louder than pride, because growth changed the conversation, and now your soul finally speaks in the language of calm. Detachment is often misunderstood. People hear the word and imagine distance, numbness, or coldness. They assume it means shutting people out or closing your heart. But real detachment is the opposite. It's not about caring less. It's about caring differently. It's the quiet strength of choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and truth over attachment. It's the ability to stand in love, compassion, and awareness without losing yourself in the process. You reach a point in life where you realize you cannot save everyone, fix everything, or hold on to what was never meant to stay. You stop trying to control how people see you, how situations unfold, or how life should go. You stop chasing closure, validation, or approval. That's detachment. The freedom that comes when you stop gripping what keeps slipping through your fingers. It's not bitterness, it's balance. It's not avoidance, it's acceptance. When you are attached, you cling to outcomes, people, and expectations. You base your peace on things outside of yourself. You tell yourself you'll be okay once something happens, once they apologize, once they understand, once life gives you what you think you deserve. But detachment teaches you that peace cannot depend on conditions. It must live within you, regardless of what others do or don't do. It's realizing that you can still love deeply without losing yourself. You can still care sincerely without carrying the weight of someone else's choices. Detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you conscious. You stop reacting to every little thing, because you've learned that not everything deserves your attention. You no longer get pulled into emotional storms that have nothing to do with your purpose. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop fighting to prove your worth to those who only see what they want to see. You start understanding that peace isn't found in control, it's found in release. True detachment is the art of letting life flow without needing to force it. You begin to trust timing, trust endings, trust silence. You no longer chase what runs or cling to what's fading. You start to see that everything that's meant for you flows effortlessly, not perfectly, but peacefully. You learn that holding on too tightly doesn't protect you. It only exhausts you. Sometimes you have to let go to breathe again. You might still love people, but you love them freely, not fearfully. You no longer need to possess them to feel secure. You don't measure love by how much you control. You measure it by how much you can trust. Detachment allows love to exist without obsession, without expectation. You love not because you need, but because you choose. You give without losing, and you stay without depending. And sometimes detachment means walking away, not in anger, but in awareness. You realize that peace requires distance from things that disturb your spirit. You stop trying to make broken things whole and stop trying to convince people who don't want to understand. You see that not everything lost is a tragedy, and not everything kept is a blessing. You learn to respect the natural rhythm of release, the art of saying, I love you, but I love myself too. The strength in detachment lies in your ability to feel everything without becoming consumed by anything. You still cry, still care, still show up with love, but you don't let pain define you or chaos guide you. You know that emotions are waves. You let them pass without drowning in them. Detachment doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you emotionally intelligent. It allows you to experience life fully while staying anchored within yourself. There's a powerful peace that comes when you stop chasing closure. You no longer need to hear, I'm sorry, to move forward. You no longer need explanations to understand why something ended. You stop waiting for people to meet you where you are and instead meet yourself with acceptance. You learn that closure doesn't come from conversations, it comes from peace. When you let go, you don't lose. You make space for something higher to enter. You begin to see how much of your suffering came from resistance, from refusing to let go of what hurt you, from fighting for what drained you, from trying to control what was never yours to control. Detachment softens that resistance. It teaches you to breathe, to trust, to allow. It whispers, you don't have to fight everything. You don't have to fix everything. Some things are meant to fall away. That's not failure. That's flow. When you detach, your relationships change. You stop expecting people to fill your emptiness or complete your happiness. You begin to love people for who they are, not for what they can give you. You stop resenting them for not being what you imagined. You understand that everyone is walking their own path, carrying their own lessons, healing their own pain. Detachment gives you compassion without control. It lets you love freely without demanding anything in return. You also become gentler with yourself. You stop clinging to your past mistakes. You stop overanalyzing every wrong turn. You stop attaching your identity to pain. Detachment helps you see that you are not your trauma, not your past, not your losses. You are the soul who survived them all. You are the awareness that watches everything change but remains whole. That awareness, that unshakable center, is the home of true strength. People may call your peace distance. They may say you've changed. They may accuse you of not caring. But what they don't understand is that your heart has simply matured. You've learned that peace is not built through control, and love is not measured by attachment. You've learned that boundaries are acts of love, both for yourself and for others. You've learned that silence can be an act of strength. You'll start noticing that when you detach from outcomes, everything begins to flow more naturally. The right people stay without force. The right opportunities arrive without panic. The right moments unfold without pressure. Life starts to feel lighter. You breathe easier. You begin to enjoy the present instead of obsessing over what could go wrong. Detachment brings you back to now, the only moment where peace truly exists. You understand that you can love someone deeply and still let them go when the connection becomes chaos. You can care about someone and still choose distance when staying starts to destroy your peace. Detachment doesn't erase love, it refines it. It takes it from possession to purity, from fear to faith. You stop asking, how can I keep this? And start asking, how can I honor this without losing myself? The beauty of detachment is that it makes you whole again. You stop needing anyone or anything to complete you. You stop seeking peace outside yourself. You realize that everything you've been searching for, freedom, calm, clarity, security, has always lived within you. You were never incomplete. You were just entangled in things that made you forget your own power. Detachment untangles you. It brings you home to yourself. So no, detachment is not coldness. It's courage. It's the strength to stay soft in a world that constantly tries to harden you. It's the power to love without losing yourself, to care without carrying every burden, to give without being emptied. It's the quiet, sacred confidence of someone who knows that peace is priceless and refuses to trade it for anything less. The freedom of letting go is one of life's most beautiful awakenings. It doesn't arrive all at once. It comes quietly after many sleepless nights, after replaying conversations that can't be changed, after holding on so tightly to something that no longer fits in your hands. One day, you just get tired of trying to make sense of what broke you, tired of rewriting stories that were meant to end, tired of carrying people, expectations, and memories that only weigh your soul down. And in that exhaustion, you find your freedom, not in holding on, but in letting go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean you never cared. It doesn't mean what happened didn't matter. It means you've made peace with it. It means you've stopped allowing it to control you. It means you've chosen to honor the lesson without reliving the pain. Sometimes we hold on because we're afraid that letting go means losing a part of ourselves. But what we forget is that the longer we hold on, the more we lose ourselves anyway. Freedom begins when you stop confusing attachment with love and pain with purpose. You start to realize that not everything you love is meant to stay. Some people enter your life to teach you, not to keep you. Some experiences exist to shape you, not to follow you. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you love them differently. You bless them from afar. You release them without bitterness. You thank them for their chapter in your story, even if their departure tore your pages. There's strength in that kind of release, the kind that whispers, "I wish you peace, even if you couldn't give me mine." Letting go is an act of self-respect. It's saying, "I deserve to be free." You stop begging for explanations that never come. Stop waiting for apologies that were never sincere. Stop replaying endings looking for reasons. You accept that sometimes closure doesn't arrive as words. It arrives as silence. You stop searching for what went wrong and start honoring what went right. You begin to see that peace isn't found in fixing the past, but in freeing yourself from it. At first it hurts. Letting go will always hurt because your heart still remembers what your mind is trying to release. You'll miss what was familiar, even if it wasn't good for you. You'll miss what felt safe, even if it kept you stuck. But healing is not about erasing memories. It's about releasing their grip on your present. It's about breathing again without the weight of yesterday on your chest. The pain of letting go is temporary. The peace it brings is permanent. When you finally release what was never meant for you, life begins to open in ways you never imagined. You start to feel lighter, clearer, calmer. You stop waking up heavy with regret. You stop checking your phone hoping for a message that will never come. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. Instead, you start living again. You start laughing again. You start trusting life again. That's the quiet miracle of letting go. It makes room for something new to find you. Letting go is also about forgiving, not just others, but yourself. Forgiving yourself for staying too long, for ignoring the signs, for trying too hard, for giving too much. You learn to look back without shame. You understand that you did the best you could with what you knew then. You stop punishing yourself for the choices that led you here because they were all part of your becoming. The freedom of letting go is not just about releasing others, it's about releasing the version of yourself that you were when you were still holding on. And then something beautiful happens. You stop chasing closure and start creating peace. You stop waiting for someone else to set you free. You take that power back. You stop expecting people to make things right and start realizing that your peace is your own responsibility. You no longer need to win every argument or be understood by everyone. You stop explaining why you had to walk away. You stop apologizing for outgrowing what hurt you. You start living like someone who finally knows their worth. You also start seeing the beauty in endings. You realize that endings are not failures. They're transitions. They clear the path for something higher. Life is constantly changing, and freedom comes when you stop resisting that change. The same hands that once trembled while letting go begin to open gently, ready to receive what's next. You no longer grip tightly to what's gone. You begin to trust the space it left behind. You start to believe that the universe never takes without giving something greater in return. The freedom of letting go also changes the way you love. You stop clinging. You stop fearing loss. You love with openness instead of ownership. You give without expectation. You cherish moments without trying to make them last forever. You understand that love doesn't have to mean forever. Sometimes it means thank you. Sometimes it means I learned. Sometimes it means goodbye. You learn that you can still wish someone well and still walk away. You can still love deeply and still choose peace. As you grow, you begin to see how many things you were holding that were never yours to carry. Guilt that wasn't yours, pain that didn't belong to you, people who were never meant to stay, and expectations that only broke your heart. You start to release the need to fix, to please, to prove. You stop trying to be everything for everyone. You realize that your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. It's the foundation upon which you build your joy, your purpose, your healing. Letting go teaches you faith. It's trusting that even though you don't see the full picture, there's something divine working behind every ending. It's understanding that life doesn't take without reason. It rearranges. It removes what blocks your growth. It closes doors so you can find better ones. It redirects your steps towards something meant for you. The pain of release is often just the birth of a new chapter. You can't see it yet, but one day you'll look back and whisper, "Now I understand." Freedom comes when you stop being afraid of loss. You begin to see that nothing real is ever lost, only transformed. The people who are meant to stay in your life will find their way back to you in better timing and truer energy. What's meant for you won't require chasing, proving, or begging. It will meet you with ease, with peace, with alignment. Letting go clears the space for those things to arrive. You can't receive with clenched fists. And as you keep walking, you'll notice that you no longer carry the same weight. The memories may still visit, but they no longer hurt. The pain may echo, but it no longer controls you. You can think about what once broke you and still smile, because now it's just a story, not a wound. You made it through, you healed, you became free. That's the quiet, powerful magic of letting go. You don't lose, you return to yourself. You stop waiting for peace to come from others and realize it was always within you. You stop defining yourself by what left and start celebrating what remains. You start walking lighter, speaking softer, living truer. You start to breathe in ways you forgot were possible. The freedom of letting go is not a moment. It's a becoming. It's a slow unfolding of your soul back into grace. It's the day you realize that peace is not found in holding on. It's found in release. You let go not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understood that your heart deserves to be free. You let go because you deserve to rest. You let go because peace is waiting for you on the other side. And that peace, once you reach it, feels like coming home. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, remind yourself, not every storm is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be watched from a distance until they pass. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to light a fire every time someone throws you a spark. The power of not arguing anymore is the power of finally understanding that peace is not a prize. It's a choice. And when you choose peace over proving a point, you don't just win the argument, you win your life back.